we're going to get started because we have so much to talk about. It's extremely exciting. If you want us to get a little seat and join us, we're thrilled. This is our first, hopefully, annual holiday gift book talk. I'm Ellen Snoeyenbos, the library director, and this is Nanette Ryan. She is our outstanding YA or youth services librarian. She's amazing. And we are so thrilled to be hosting Tricia Peterson and her husband, who was over there, who run the Paperback Junction in Southeastern. And if you haven't visited their new location, you are missing something really special. It's an adorable little bookshop. She is so up on the latest. Every latest book there is in her shop. You can't imagine going in there and then leaving empty-handed because you'll find something that you love. So we're thrilled to be partnering with Tricia. I think, as I said in the Brockton Enterprise this morning, I think that libraries and independent booksellers are a great match because I always say, if whatever it takes to get people to read is a good thing. And sometimes you borrow a book from the library and you say, I have to own this. And so you go to the bookstore and get it. Or in my case, I knew that one of the books that I'm going to be talking about, I was going to be like 150 on the waiting list. So I wasn't going to wait around. I'm going to go to Tricia's bookstore and get it right there so you can be instantly gratified. So what we're going to do is Nanette and I are going to kind of whip through about 18 titles, starting with some children's, then we're going to go to some teen and end up with quite a few adult. Okay, then we're going to give you time to browse. Now we've got the table right over there behind Jake, who's taping for cable TV. That table with a colorful tablecloth is the books that we're talking about. Okay, but Tricia has brought in a lot of other books. The children's books that Nanette is talking about are on the bookshelves, and then Tricia. Okay, so there's a mix of locations. And then on the back table is other wonderful books that you'll definitely want. I already see a couple things that I want to get. There's some excellent books for upper elementary boys. I thought of your grandchildren, Nancy. And anyway, so we're going to get started. And as I say, we're so thrilled that you came. It's the first time we've ever done this. And so we're going to get started with our children's books.
The first book that I chose is called The Nebula Secret Explorer Academy series. It's a brand new series, so if your children, boys or girls, say the ages of 10, 11, 12, some 9-year-olds if they're a strong reader. I have some 8-year-olds that have read the whole Harry Potter series. So it really can accommodate a wide age range. The reading level itself is 5th grade. But if the kids have liked I Survived series, even any of the longer series like Mary Pope Osborne, like the ones that they're waiting for that next one to come out. I was just looking, and the second one is getting released. I wrote it down right here. It's coming out March, and it's called The Falcon's Feather. So the characters that are in this, which the main character is a boy named Cruz, and the interesting thing about it is it's inspired by National Geographic real action adventure. Awesome. So they've taken, the characters are made up, but some things that National Geographic has accomplished, including new technology, they are incorporating the characters in this. And there's even a little bit of coding and problem solving, like clues, almost like mystery detective type of stuff in here too, that as the kids read, they're going to want to go back and say, wait a minute, I know there was a clue in here. And there are tons of clues in it. And then the back section of it has real photos of people that are doing all kinds of stuff that are samples of the technology that's in the book. So it's really cool. I'm actually wondering if there's a way I could use that for some kind of book club, like with STEM activities. It's just a really cool book. And the second one, like I said, comes out shortly, actually. Oh, where's the little clicker?
I'm sorry, I got it here.
Okay. The little... And the author, it's a new author. It tells you on there, too. I didn't have it written on here. Trudy Truitt. And there's a ton of information online. I can imagine these being turned into movies because they're really that good. So this one I'm excited about. And the second book, which I'm using for story time, so I'll need my copy back. The Snowy Nap with Jan Brett. Jan Brett writes a ton of books, and we have so many of her books. Sometimes they're a tough story time read because there's so many pictures on the outside, because she does the outside storytelling. She tells 2 stories, one in the text, and then the outside pictures have a second sub-story.
Do you know whatever's featured on the first page is what she talks about on the next page?
Yeah. Oh. And she this goes all the way back to her first book, The Hat. And all the pictures are of a house she actually stayed in, like a bed and breakfast in Denmark. And of course, Hedgie is hearing from all of his animal friends about all the great things that go on during the wintertime. Making snowmen, how the sky and the snow look blue at night. And he's...
He misses it all.
He feels like he's missing out. So because hedgehogs hibernate typically during the winter. So he forces himself to stay up so that he could witness the beauty of wintertime. And the pictures in it are just gorgeous. Definitely take a look at that one. I'm using it for a story time program. I used to have a hedgehog here. I'm actually considering getting another one. I keep looking and looking, and the one I really wanted, somebody else beat me and bought it.
I didn't realize when I read my son Jan Brett's story, she's from Massachusetts.
Yeah,
Oh, she
Norwell.
lives in Norwell.
Yeah.
I never realized it that whole time. I thought she
very
lived in
local.
Denmark.
Yeah, she shows up at a lot of libraries in Norwell, Hingham area too, and she does a lot of book promotions, and she has a big mobile, like a bookmobile that she drives around and has drivers actually. The third book I picked out, The Wild Robot Escapes. If you were reading on this piece of paper, it's given the description actually of the first book, which is just The Wild Robot, which is this book. I'll pass that around right now. And this is a book about a ship crash. A ship sinks actually, in the boxes that are on the ship sink. And some of them land on an island, and most of them are broken robot parts, but there's one box that has a robot still intact, and the animals get a hold of it and open it up. And by accident, one of them like hits a button and it starts her. And she figures out how to live on the island based on what technology she has. And then the researchers that build her realize that she is missing. And they call her a she in the book because that's how she identifies herself. And they realize that she's missing, so they find her. They track her down and find her on the island. And the animals that she has been working with the whole time she lived there with them. She even takes on the persona of a mom to a bird that she rescued that cracked out of an egg and it didn't have a mother, and she took care of it. And they come to pick her up to take her back to be fixed because she is kind of broken. And then in this book, The Wild Robot Escapes, she gets sent to a farm, and it's a modern day farm. So this is really interesting because they don't get on planes anymore. They have a special like air hovercraft. The farm is self-sufficient. The cars drive themselves, but the farmer that lives on the farm property wants a robot, and he's not a rich man, but so he buys a refurbished robot, which ends up being Rox. She works there on the farm and befriends the family and the kids and everything. But it's really about a cross of like technology and nature. So there's a lot of philosophy in it too, underlined. So if an adult was reading it to a child, it's really good. It's well done. It's another one of those books that I've been waiting to like find a teacher that's using it. You know. Yeah, the wild robot. The description here is for The Wild Robot. The second one is The Wild Robot Escapes. So I brought them both over to, yeah. And I know I'm going, I'm trying to go fast.
The first one first.
Yes, yeah.
And they have that one.
Yep. Well, she doesn't have it here tonight, but you could certainly go to Paperback Junction and chat with her too. The fourth book I have is Mary Poppins, which of course the movie comes out. I think it's December, I wrote it down somewhere. I think it comes out December 17th. And the book itself is a short version of the story. It was written 84 years ago. If P.L. Travers had lived, she'd be, I figured it was like 114 years old. Okay, and the pictures just are beautiful in it. And the character Mary, she just shows up at their house the parents are in desperate need of some help, and she just kind of appears. So this follows along. It's a bridged version, obviously, with it being the short. But I was thinking, well, isn't this is fabulous that it's short, because if you read it, it'll spark them to want to go see the movie, because it's adorable. I've watched the trailer a few times to try tie it in with the book. And that book, Disney's done it. I mean, it's been out. Mary Poppins has been out for a while, but the newest movie is really cute and clever. And let's see, number 5. Adorable. Santa Claus, but his name is crossed out, Santa Bruce. We have a few Bruce books. We have Mother Bruce. He's Mother Goose in the book. He's kind of a grumpy, almost like the Grinch who stole Christmas. So if you have a husband or if your children have a grandfather that's grumpy, bah humbug, doesn't like to celebrate the holidays, that's how Bruce is. He wants to sleep all winter. He does not want to celebrate Christmas. And he gets kind of sucked in by mice and geese to act as Santa Claus for the season, because all the little animals, once they get wind of it, they run into him in the forest. And they, I was trying to mark a picture, but they run into him in the forest, and they're convinced that he's Santa. So then all the animals, and he's like, no, I'm not Santa. And all the animals are convinced that he is Santa. And then they all tell him their wish list and what they want for Christmas. And he keeps telling his buddies, the mice and the geese, no, I'm not doing this next year. I want to sleep all winter. I'm really not into this. I don't like eggnog. I don't like the holidays. So he's hysterical. And the pictures in it are just beautiful. All of the pictures in it gorgeous. And we have 2 other of the books. And in the end, they all sit down and they have a big dinner. And you have to read it. I obviously don't have time to read it. But it's hysterical. And I just love the illustrations. And it's a very cool book.
I met this author one time.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah, he was very nice.
Yeah, Ryan Higgins. Yeah, he's done a few books. I pulled all of the other books that we had that weren't checked out and threw them on top of the shelves in the children's room. That way, if somebody between today and tomorrow wanted to take out other ones, they could. Almost our whole Jan Brett collection is out because of the holiday, and all the gingerbread books and everything. All of those go out. I think I have 2 on the shelf, and they're super old. This last one here for the young children, and these are all, like, ideally K through 3 children. A couple of them a little bit older would listen to it too, especially if they're just looking for your attention. They're adorable. This one here, I didn't want to like this one just because the characters were funny to me. But Sleepy the Goodnight Buddy, let's see, Drew Daywalt, and he wrote The Day the Crayons Quit. We have a couple of the books. And the problem is, in this book, is the little boy Roderick stalls, does not want to go to bed ever, so he asks a million questions. Can I have another glass of water? What are we doing tomorrow? Why do ponies have 4 feet? Like, he makes up stuff. He does it for hours on end just because he doesn't want to go to bed. And the parents are slick enough that they buy Sleepy, the stuffed animal that's supposed to help him to go to sleep. And instead, Sleepy starts talking to him, and Sleepy starts behaving like Roderick and saying things like, I had too much water, now I have to go to the bathroom, I can't go to sleep, it's too noisy in here, the light from the moon's bothering me, everything bothers them. And then in the end, they both end up just going to sleep. And it's an adorable sleep time book for sure, especially if you have a child that fights you on it. And that's the stuffed animal, Sleepy, and that's Roderick. And he really annoys the parents with his stalling. And then halfway through the story, Roderick is completely annoyed by Sleepy, so he gets a taste of his own medicine in this. So it's very cute. And the pictures are beautiful too, actually.
So now we're going on to teen books. And I would say a couple of them are good for older elementary as well. Especially like the Stonekeeper, the Amulet series. Amulet. This is so popular, you can't keep it on the shelf, right, Nanette?
Yeah, I just ordered new copies too.
They have worn out.
Yeah.
They are so popular. Now, this is what we call a graphic novel, okay? It's a graphic novel, gorgeously illustrated. Don't think about graphic novels as being necessarily comics anymore, although comics are an art form as well. These are even at a higher level. The storytelling is so mature, and not mature content-wise, but just sophisticated and clever. This is a story that actually the first book was out, so I had to grab the second book. But Tricia has the first book of the series on the shelf. She's got multiple copies back there if your kids are interested at all. And the thing with black graphic novels is a younger child can look at it and get the sense of the story. and then the older child can read it to them, because it's actually very simple. It's very simple, and kids understand I have a hard time reading these books because I'm used to reading text, but kids are very visual. And the premise of this is that the girl and the boy, their father has died, the girl and the boy with their mother move into this inherited old house. And the house has many secrets. And the house is dangerous. And they are discovering all the aspects of the secret of the house. And then they have to go and find the amulet. And there are all sorts of creatures that they have to deal with. It's very, very exciting. And I would say upper elementary, wouldn't you say, Nanette?
Yeah.
Definitely upper elementary.
It depends on the
Absolutely.
reader, though. I mean, I have fourth grade, like little ones that
Yeah.
ask for them.
Definitely.
I mean, I've had second
it's not
grade.
mature content
Oh,
at
yeah,
all,
that's even interesting.
Yeah.
but it's extremely adventure story-ish.
Is it like the Rick Time book that they did?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I would
It's
say
better,
even
it's
less
better, but-
hard, less difficult to follow
Yeah,
than
it's better.
Curriculum Time is really more for older kids.
Yeah.
Okay, the second book is This is for Teens. Teens. She is such a popular author, Marie Lu. I cannot speak highly enough about her. If you have a reluctant teen, boy or girl, anything by Marie Lu is going to be popular. Now, this is the beginning. She has a number of series that she's already finished writing. The thing with Marie Lu, I did a seventh grade book talk to all the seventh grades at West Bridgewater, and everybody was on the edge of their seats because I said, she started out not being a book author. She started out being a video game developer. And they're all like, oh, we love Fortnite. She writes her novels like it's a video game. And the girl in this story is kind of like a private investigator. She's playing a game. She's hacking into a game, and she has to kind of play the game and also keep other people from cheating. So this is the first of the series, and then there's a second book out already, I'm pretty sure. Isn't that Tricia?
Which as quick as it comes in, it goes right back.
Oh my God, it's so popular. Anything by Marie Lu. She does sort of a sci-fi fantasy series called Legend. Then there's another one called Some Kind of Children, and then this is the one about video games, which is really, really popular. Okay, this is just absolutely precious. Now, she's a very famous author as well. Her most famous book was Everything, which was a movie. And all the kids will have seen the movie, okay? The Sun is Also a Star is just a beautiful story. It's set in one day in New York, okay? These two disparate people who have nothing to do with each other, discover each other. The boy is on his way to a college interview, to like some Ivy League college, and he's Korean American, I think, or Chinese American, anyway, Asian American. The girl is Syrian. Wait, is she Syrian or Iraqi? Anyway, she's from the Middle East, and she is on a different adventure. She, oh, I know what it was. They're going to be deported. She's an illegal. Their visa ran out, and their whole family is there, and so this is the last day. This is the last day, unless she can find a immigrant attorney to help her. And so they meet, though. They meet in this music store, and they, become friends, and then they become more interested, and then they change each other's. It's just a beautiful, beautiful story. And the thing of that, as I was reading, I was thinking, is this going to be completely unrealistic, and everything's going to work out just fine? And some things work out fine, and some things don't work out fine. It's just the way life is. But it ends. It's very uplifting. So I highly recommend this. Girls will have already read Everything, which is about the girl who's, in a bubble and she can't leave the house and she falls in love with the boy next door.
And plenty of adults and young.
Oh, yes. Young adults. If you have like a kid in college, they will eat this stuff up because it's a quick read, but it's substantial. There's a real story to it. Okay, if you have a reluctant teenage boy who hates to read, this is my go-to series. Robert Muchamore. I always say, if your kid has already read all the Anthony Horowitz books, which go on and on and on. And they're ready for the next step up. This is the book for them. All the teenage boys I had in Duxbury were just like, couldn't get enough of these. They just ate them right up. And what's cool about this series is it's about these kind of juvenile delinquents that get taken in and trained as spies by MI6, which is the British equivalent of the CIA, okay? And then they're sent on these missions. And the first mission of this series, mission 1, is that the young boy has to infiltrate this eco-terrorist commune kind of in Wales, because it's all British, which is also kind of cool. And he has to kind of join, and he has to pretend that he's one of the eco-terrorists. And because the eco-terrorists are planning to bomb this conference of bigwigs. And so his job, his mission, should he care to accept it, is to stop them from doing that. But what's kind of cool about it is that that is his mission. But then he realizes that, they sort of have a point in terms of, the conflict between big business and the environment. But their methods, clearly are unacceptable. So it's really good. Each book is a different social issue, okay? So this one is eco-terrorism. Another one is about trafficking wild animals, elephant tusks and stuff like that. And so they have to, find the poachers and, and interrupt the market. It's really exciting, and just one, every at the end of every chapter is a cliffhanger. So there's just no way you cannot read the next chapter. So that's really fun. Okay, on to the adult books. We want to make sure to give you plenty of time to browse. Okay, it was very hard to decide which adult books to choose, but I decided to go with this list. Eleanor Oliphant is super, super popular. This is undoubtedly going to be a movie. It's a feel-good story with a mystery, okay? It's excellent. It's British. Eleanor Oliphant is enormously socially awkward. And you kind of don't know what her background is. She gives you hints, but it's clear she's clearly has had a very strange upbringing. And every night she talks to her mother. But you wonder, where's her mother? She's not in the picture, but she's talking to her. Anyway, she works in this office as an accountant, and she's very good, but she doesn't talk to anybody. She just does her job, but she's really good. And this fellow employee befriends her, who's kind of a little awkward on his own. So it's this sweet little kind of love story, and he has a mother who has needs, and he ends up engaging Eleanor in his life, and she ends up being, very much supported by him, and he supports her. It's just a really sweet, sweet story, but odd and kind of awkward, and you're kind of embarrassed for her because she does all these kind of nutty things. It's really, really good. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I jump? Oh, I've been jumping ahead. I'm sorry. Let me go to the next one. I just finished reading this. Oh my gosh, this is so good. If anyone's read The Woman in Cabin 10, that was a huge bestseller last summer.
What was it?
The Woman in Cabin 10.
Oh, yeah.
This is her latest book.
Oh.
It's a 5-star book, and it's a murder mystery, of course. And what's crazy about this is it's set in England, and I just thought, I'm going to be able to guess all the things. It just seems so, because it's set in this English estate in Cornwall. This old lady has died, and she's left a will, and it's contested, and all these people come from all over, and they have to meet in the room with the attorney, and it's who's going to be the big beneficiary? Anyway, the chief protagonist in it is this young girl who has grown up all alone with her mother in Brighton, and her mother reads tarot cards on the pier, and her mother dies tragically. This is not giving all that much away. Well before the book starts, and so the girl, she's 20, so she's no longer a child, but she instead of going to university, she has to become a tarot card reader like herself. But the funny thing is, she doesn't really believe in the tarot cards. It's kind of funny. It's she does it. She's kind of more of a psychoanalyst to people. She doesn't really believe in the supernatural, which is kind of cool. Anyway, it's a complete, on your edge of the seat story. It's just, there's no way you can guess what happens at the end. Okay, this next book is, this is the big seller of the season, Becoming by Michelle Obama. If anybody has seen her on any of the talk shows, I've seen her, I saw her interviewed by Colbert, and it was really, really interesting. Now, she's had a really interesting life, whatever your political persuasion is, doesn't even matter, because her book is not political. It's not political, it's about her life and how she made her choices. And Gail was saying at the desk out there, Gail had heard her be interviewed by Oprah, by Robin Roberts, and by Ellen. And she gave a different interview each time. She has so much to tell you about her life. She grew up on the south side of Chicago. Her parents were very working class, small apartment, lots of people around, lots of no special privileges at all. And she really has made quite a life for herself. So it's very uplifting.
One of the interviews I saw, Ellen, she was talking about her mother and how she coaxed her mother into coming to the White House.
Oh,
and it's hysterical.
that's so
And her mother, every time a holiday would come up, say, "Can I go home now?" She wasn't a fan of being in the White
She didn't
House.
want to be there. Gail said too, she's really funny. I
Yeah,
didn't
she
see her
is.
really
Yeah, she is funny.
funny in the interview, but it's kind of cool. So anyway, this is like the latest hit of the season. Okay, this is like my favorite book of 2018, I think. I don't know what it is, and the funny thing is, the woman who wrote this book was a elephant. She's a naturalist. She spent most of her professional life studying elephants in Africa. But how she became such a good writer, I have no idea. Okay, the premise of this is it's about this girl who grows up kind of on her own in the swamps of the lowlands of North Carolina. And boy, you get this book is steeped in setting. The setting is gorgeous. She spends most of her life out in the woods and fields and marshes and in the boats. And there's a town nearby, but she doesn't have that much to do with the town. And she grows up kind of on her own, which you just feel like, oh my gosh, she really is living a nitty-gritty tough life. She ends up becoming this, environmental, she draws beautifully, and she becomes this amazing naturalist. But there's a murder. Or is it a murder? There's a death, an unexplained death in the book, which some people think it's a murder, some people think it was an accident. You just don't know. And I'll tell you right now, I've read a lot of murder mysteries, and I couldn't tell until the very end whether it was a murder, an accident, or what happened to the person. It's really, really good. I can't say enough about it.
We're all going to want that one.
Oh, and this book, I can't believe how quickly I put this. This is for the guys in your life or the people who love sports. This is hot off the press. And we have, this is the 2018 season. This is going to be a fabulous stocking stuffer for any sports fan in your family. Great, gorgeous pictures, lots of descriptions. It just it sells itself. It's just awesome. Okay, this is a book for, I love history. I love reading history, but and not to be too, too stereotyping, but if you have like a husband or a boyfriend or an older son who, it just isn't into fiction at all. Nathaniel Philbrook is such a fabulous writer. The books read like novels, but they are basically nonfiction. This is his latest book, and it is really a page-turner. Many of you have probably read In the Heart of the Sea about the Essex, which is the Moby Dick story, but the real thing. Anyway, he's written a ton. He wrote Mayflower, which I thought was phenomenal. This is his latest book. He wrote Valiant Ambition, which is the one before this, but this one's called In the Eye of a Hurricane. Okay, this is about the last year of the American Revolution. The Battle of Yorktown, leading up to the Battle of Yorktown. And the French and the German, I didn't remember how many different groups were involved in the American Revolution. It wasn't just Americans versus British. The French played an enormously important role. And this is about pretty much the French naval battle against the British in the Chesapeake Bay. And you just have to say, whoa, how come I didn't know about this? And what I really, really love about this, I'm a huge fan of epilogues. I'm a huge fan. Some people hated the epilogue at the end of Harry Potter. I love the epilogue at the end of Harry Potter. This has an amazingly great epilogue. It tells what happens to all of these characters after the revolution, and it's unbelievably interesting. Okay, quickly. This is just a feel-good book. Anyone who's read Maria Shriver, I mean, she's just your go-to person for someone you want to give a book to that's going to be heartwarming, inspirational. She's an inspirational writer. She's done a ton of writing. And this is, the way this is set up is, it's got poems, it's got little short essays, it's got prayer. She's a very spiritual person. And I just think she does a wonderful job. I've been thinking reflections, prayers, and meditations on a meaningful life. And she certainly has had her troubles, as you know, and embarrassments. And she has made a wonderful life for herself, and she's just a wonderful writer and an inspiring, very religious person. So I just threw that in there for that. And then last but not least, I mean, if anybody else loves Joanna Gaines as much as I do, I mean, I'm just kind of drawing a blank on the TV show, but it's Chip and Joanna Gaines, the house renovation show, which I can't remember.
Fixer Upper.
What?
Fixer Upper.
Fixer Upper. And of course they've stopped doing Fixer Upper.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I actually picked this. I said, I gotta find a cookbook. Ashley Warren, who works on our staff here, she said, Ellen, she bought a Magnolia table for herself. She said the recipes are simple, but they're very healthy and they're super tasty. And they're not fancy, but they taste really good. And they're, Joanna Gaines, she's sort of elegant. She wears jeans all the time, but she looks fabulous in them. Creamy squash casserole. Like, I'm thinking that would be great for my daughter's partner is vegetarian. I'll probably make something like this for her when she comes to visit. Anyway, this is the latest. This is not the latest Joanna Gaines book. She has a home decorating book that's out also. But I just think cookbook. You can't go wrong with a cookbook if you're looking for a gift. So that's our list. Tricia, do you have other books that you want to highlight over there? Or, okay, but be sure, Tricia brought more books, other books, some cute children's books. She's got some doodads. She's got a lot of children's books are right here. Feel free to browse and make your purchases. Any book that we don't have here, Tricia can order for you. And enjoy the holiday season. I wish everybody a happy holiday and make it a book-filled holiday because you can't go wrong with a book. A book is such an incredible gift to give to somebody because it's almost like you're giving them an experience. And it's an experience that they can have once or twice, dip back into. I'm dying to read Where the Crawdads Sing another time. Because I just think that the beautiful, evocative, setting is just so luxurious and beautiful. And I've never really spent any time in North Carolina, that lowland area, but it's teeming with wildlife, I guess. So anyway, thank you so much for coming. Thank you. And feel free to mill around and purchase books.